What's up, everyone? It's Friday! Want to welcome everybody to another episode of the Arizona Cards Cast. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. As normal, we're just going to get to it, right? All right, let's go, baby. Let's go! All right, so first thing I want to talk about is the Cardinals have their second preseason game on Sunday against the 21 games in a row unbeaten winning streak by the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the game is at State Farm Stadium, the only home game the Cardinals have in the preseason. And so let's talk about what our expectations are. Well, it sounds like Kyler Murray's going to call plays again. Obviously, he's not going to see the field. I don't know if Colt McCoy is going to see the field. I'm trying to find out information about that. So you know that Trace McSorley is going to get a lot of playing time. I'm also hearing through the grapevine that Trace McSorley might actually make this team. You remember throughout the last couple weeks, I'm like, McSorley's maybe trying to play for a place on the practice squad. I'm hearing rumor has it that the Cardinals are going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. I'm assuming McSorley would probably most likely be a game day scratch, but that's showing how much Cliff Kingsbury likes McSorley. Why not? McSorley showed, obviously great mobility. We saw that in his days at Penn State. He has great mobility. He does not have a great arm, but he's actually very accurate, has great anticipation on the football, and I actually think that I'm actually looking forward, especially since he's playing against a team that drafted him on Sunday, how he's going to perform. Obviously, Myjai Sanders, Keontae Ingram, Trey McBride, some of the rookies is like some of the other guys I want to see perform. And also, I want to see Antonio Hamilton. We're going to talk about here in a second. I want to see how he performs. And Marco Wilson, Zaven Collins, obviously, Josh Jones. Josh Jones is kind of a little bit of a disappointment in his playing time last year. I want to see kind of like how some of the guys who are going to make the team, but maybe not be in a starting role. I mean, all of the key guys, all of the top core guys are probably not going to play at all this preseason, it sounds like. Sounds like Cliff Kingsbury is going the McVay route on this. Anyways, to our next subject. Antonio Hamilton is the number 2 corner now, above Marco Wilson. So Marco Wilson has been demoted to the number 3 corner. With how many 3 wide receiver sets are in the NFL, Marco Wilson's going to be on the field a lot still. But what does this mean? I even said in the first preseason game, for a starting corner, he really played really poorly, Marco Wilson did. And I have said on this channel the last few days just about how, he is not up to snuff, and I'm really concerned about the position. I still think, I'm hearing Greedy Williams from the Browns is someone that is kind of looking after. We know the Cards probably need to add 1 or 2 veteran corners to this team. Because no offense to Antonio Hamilton, actually played pretty well when he got called up off the practice squad last year. Having him as a number 2 corner is pretty concerning. And oh boy, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, even Baker Mayfield the first 4 weeks. This is, oh man, us Cards fans, we're having nightmares. It's okay. It's okay. I admittingly, it is not a pretty sight right now. All right, our next subject. So you heard about USC, UCLA going to the Big Ten, Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. It's making college football, to be honest with you, already a watered-down product, even more watered down. I know that some of the national talking heads love it. They're going to have Texas versus Alabama. I know they're playing this year, but Oklahoma versus Georgia, and USC versus Penn State, and some of these awesome in-conference matchups. But really what it's done is it's kind of making like these 2 big super conferences. You might as well make it like the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference in college football. But anyways, my main reaction to college football, it's all about the money. The NIL is just really making things a little bit weird and tough, and Nick Saban's getting upset because all the Texas schools are getting the best players because they can pay them more money because Alabama doesn't have as much money as Texas, if you know what I mean. Anyways, but I'm also hearing that the college football playoff is thinking of possibly separating themselves from the NCAA and kind of coming independent. It's a mess. That's all I gotta say. College football right now is a mess. Since it's Friday, we have Fanmail, which I appreciate your support. Anyways, let's get to it. Okay, so this is from Garth from Los Angeles. He says, Andrew, since you're, about 4 inches taller than Kyler Murray, if Kyler Murray couldn't reach the sugar in the cupboard. Would you help Kyler Murray get the sugar? First off, Kyler Murray's my quarterback. I do whatever he needs, from the fans. But secondly, I don't like it when you make fun of Kyler Murray's height. That's not very nice, Garth from Los Angeles. Just saying. Anyways, all right, next. This is Brett from Tucson. Okay, Brett from Tucson says, so I remember you telling me about, that your wife was having an affair with Jimmy Garoppolo. Is that true? First off, Jimmy Garoppolo just likes, hot women that's a little bit older than him, for one. And two, I don't want to talk about this. Next. Okay. We're going to go on to the last subject. All right. So, we're going to cut this short just because this is getting very, very frustrating. Anyways, all right. So, lastly, we have Suzanne from Phoenix. Suzanne from Phoenix asks, so in your dance videos, are you really trying to show that you are the world's worst dancer? All right, forget this. We're done. Fan mail, I'm done. And lastly, we have the AFC West Predictions. All right, this is supposed to be the best division in the history of football, they say. 4 teams with a winning record. I don't see that happening. One of these 4 teams is going to be a pumpkin. And I would say, obviously, the least likely is the Kansas City Chiefs. As you can see, I still like the Chiefs to waltz through the NFL this year, to be honest with you. The Chiefs, Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquise Valdez-Scantling, MVS. I just like MVS, actually. I think the Chiefs are going to be maybe a little bit more of a 7-play drive instead of a 2-play drive without Tyreek Hill. They still have Mecole Hardman. If Mecole Hardman can actually kind of become, a little bit more of a consistent receiver, but he's still a deep threat and problem. But Patrick Mahomes, I still think, is the best quarterback in football. I think Andy Reid is arguably the best coach in football. I don't see the Chiefs having that midseason slump. I think the defense is going to be fine. I think the Chiefs 14-3 might be a little bit steep. We're going to take them down a game to 13-4, but still, they're going to be the top seed in the AFC. They're still going to be arguably the best team in all of football, even in the tough division. And actually, believe it or not, my predictions, I actually had the Chiefs losing the game going, I believe it was 13-0 outside of the division. Or no, I'm sorry, 11-0 outside of the division, which is very possible. They're going to win most of their games outside of the division. Actually, I think the first week against the Cardinals is one of their toughest matchups because they're playing Kyler early in the season, fresh Kyler, and we've seen fresh Kyler to start the last couple seasons. He usually comes out roaring. Broncos 11-6. I'm also going to peg down the Broncos a win. Obviously, going to be significantly better with Russ Wilson. Let's ride! Having everyone come to practice at 7 in the morning, an hour before practice. Man, Russell Wilson is just an obsessed man. I will say that. I think he's going to have a great season. I think the Broncos have a good defense. And I think that I know that they could be a worst at first candidate. I think the Broncos are a viable wild card team, though, at 10-7, which would flip their record from last year. I think Russell Wilson improves 3 wins. But as I said, the division obviously is really tough. So the Broncos are probably going to go 3-3, maybe even 2-4 in the division. I'll say 3-3. The Chargers at 10-7, we're going to hold them there at 10-7. I think Justin Herbert's finally going to get his team in the playoffs, and finally I'll be like, okay, maybe he might be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I know people have been loving what they see from the Chargers. I still think the Chargers are a little bit overrated. I think they're a good, not great football team. I still think that they're susceptible in the middle of both lines, offensive and defensive lines. But they're going to be a solid team. And the Raiders at 5-12, I think that's a little bit too harsh. There's a team who could be a pumpkin. Now, here's the thing about the Raiders. I'll take them up to 7-10. The Raiders have no depth. But you can undeniably say with Devontae Adams added to the bunch, Hunter Renfrow now on the team. Hunter Renfrow's been on the team, but I mean, he's one of the best slot receivers in the game. Darren Waller's one of the best tight ends in the game. Josh Jacobs. Who the heck is that? Josh Jacobs is one of the better running backs in the game. And the Raiders defense, adding Chandler Jones, who I think had a very overrated season with the Cardinals last year. I think any true football fan, whatever true Cards fan, can agree with that statement. I still think that he'll improve an already decent pass rush with Max Crosby on the other side. But I think the division, the schedule, The Raiders have a really tough schedule this year. I think that it could wear them down. And also the Chargers Cardinals as a start. There's a possibility they start 0-2, which is not a good way to start the season. I think the Raiders, if there's a team I think is going to be a pumpkin, I think the Raiders are going to be a pumpkin. I think the Chargers have the second chance to be a pumpkin, but I think Justin Herbert and the Chargers are a little bit too talented. And I still think the Chargers will get the 10 wins. Got the Raiders at 7-10. One of the teams in this division, and it's probably not the Chiefs, are going to be a disappointment. It could be the Broncos, but I think the Broncos actually have too much talent. And with the addition of Russell Wilson, I think the Broncos, even with Tim Patrick out, are going to be A-OK, my friends. So here's my AFC West predictions. 3 of the AFC West teams, spoiler alert, are going to the playoffs. Here's my playoff predictions. So I got the Chiefs at 13-4. I got the Bills at 13-4. I got the Colts at 13-4. I say the Chiefs get the tiebreaker with the worst conference record. I'll say the Chiefs lose 1 or 2 games in the AFC West. Maybe they lose to the Redbirds in Week 1. Bills, though, at 13-4. Colts, because I think the Colts are going to go 5-0 against the NFC, which is going to hurt their conference record. So they fall down to the 3rd seed at 13-4. The Ravens, 12-5. The Ravens win comfortably the AFC North. I say all these teams win their division comfortably. I think the Dolphins hang with the Bills, surprisingly, for a little bit. I think the Dolphins could beat the Bills in their early season matchup in Miami. I think the Dolphins are ready, because the Bills have kind of kicked the crap out of the Dolphins the last couple of seasons. So I think the Dolphins are ready to give the Bills a fight, because I think the Dolphins are going to be the top wildcard team. Obviously, the Dolphins have a very underrated talent base. I think the Broncos make it in. Russell, hustle, bustle, man, muscle. And the Chargers, barely. As I say, AFC South teams. The Titans are also 10-7, as I almost fell. But the Titans, because they dominate the NFC East, have a worse conference record, which means the Broncos and Chargers, who have a better conference record, get the tiebreakers. And the Titans, unfortunately, miss out on the postseason party. Barely. And then no one else really outside of the Titans, I think, are in contention at the end of the season for a playoff berth. I think everyone else in the AFC's at 500. The only bad teams in the conference I have is the Jets and the Patriots. I think everyone else, because I think the Jags and Texans are better. I think no team in the AFC West or AFC South are going to be, AFC North, are going to be terrible either. So that's what I got. Anyways, follow me on Twitter at Stu Drew. We're going to talk about the NFC. We're going to talk about a lot of fun stuff. We'll talk about post-game, pretty much rapid reaction from the Ravens-Cardinals game this Sunday. Anyways, bye. Have a good day.